Just open.
All right, hi people. Thanks for coming to the AGM, online and in person. So we'll start off the evening with formal proceedings. I assume with the constitution changes initially.
Is that what was up first for the agenda?
Yeah, what was in the agenda? Sorry. I attended. I'm doing well.
I knew that there was an agenda.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I did look at the agenda. I just don't
You assume
remember.
there's an agenda. There's an agenda. There's always an agenda. I'm having internet connectivity issues.
But regardless, I feel like we should
Yeah.
just do that first. Get the votes out, because that's the only thing we need to vote on. Correct?
Yeah.
Oh, that and to accept the financial stuff.
To accept the reports. But
Yeah.
Yes. Do you have internet connectivity?
on this, but not this.
Can you
Hey,
bring up?
Tom.
Oh, Tom is here.
Oh.
Can I get you to bring up the constitutional change, Tom?
Yes.
And you can speak to it.
Sure.
Speak to it.
Hey.
Hey guys.
How are you?
Well, thanks.
Hello?
Sorry, late guys.
No problem. Take a seat. What's your name?
Jack.
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 And surname?
Last name Sue.
Sue. S-U?
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent.
Are you a member?
Not yet? Yeah. Well, welcome. Thanks for coming along.
So constitution.
Okay, we're just bringing up the constitutional changes now.
Okay. Agenda.
Motion to change the constitution.
Yep.
All right. Am
And
I
then-
talking to this?
Yep. Come up the front here so that our online members can...
So, just for anyone who doesn't know what's in the agenda, the first thing up is the motion to change the constitution. The changes are proposed by Tom Burt and seconded by James Jansen. So Tom's just going to quickly present. We've already sent it out 3 weeks ago. The constitution with the new changes was sent out, and if anyone has any questions based on that or based on what Tom is going to present, feel free to ask after he's finished. And then we'll vote to accept or not the changes.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sarita. Okay, so I hope you all had a chance to. We'll table it as read, but I'm not going to read out the entire Constitution, thankfully, for everyone's benefit. I know you're disappointed, Jordan, but the main change is around changing the rules around pre-selecting candidates so that at least 50 members need to participate in a pre-selection vote for it to be valid. So previously this was defined as a threshold group, but there's a few problems with that in that a threshold group is defined in the Constitution as 5% of the party, up to a maximum of 100 with a minimum of 5. But that's kind of, what that means is theoretically you could have a pre-selection done by as few as 5 people, or you might need to have over 100 people depending on how big the party is, or you might need to have 100 people voting, and that doesn't necessarily scale so well as the party grows, particularly if we want to contest multiple different electorates. So we thought a simple way is to just pick a fixed number, and we figured 50 people, 50 members participating in a pre-selection is probably a good enough local showing, because all the members who need to pre-select a candidate for an election need to be living within that electorate. So we thought that's probably a good number to go with to ensure that we get a good level of democracy, and we can't have a small number of people just select a candidate at their will. So what it also means is that if there aren't 50 members eligible to vote, we've put in a clause that says we don't need to hold a vote for that. So hopefully that's fairly clear, because we don't want to have to hold a vote even if we know they're not going to be 50 members. So in that situation, the executive can pre-select those members. We've changed the clause around an executive member calling a spill of the executive. So previously it only required one executive member to unilaterally call a spill of the executive. That was fine when there were 4 people in the executive. Now that there's 7 people in the executive, we thought it might be better off if that was actually 2 people rather than just 1. So we thought, as a to reduce the chances that the executive just gets spilled just for the hell of it, which we wouldn't want to happen, then we've put that clause in there. There was a clause around executive elections occurring at general meetings, and it was not entirely clear how that was going to work. So, although based on other conversations, I think that's probably not actually as big an issue as well as I thought it was, but we've removed that anyway, just so it's clear around this is the process, this is the timeline for how an executive election can be called. And finally, we removed the requirement for the party to endorse a candidate in every seat where the sitting MP is a Science Party member. Now, obviously, it's just hypothetical at this stage. We don't have any MPs who are sitting MPs who are members of the Science Party, but hopefully this will change the next election. But I mean, it's kind of putting an unnecessary burden on the party to say, yes, we have to, and if there's a situation where it doesn't make sense for that to happen, then there's no reason to force the party into doing that if it doesn't want to do it. So they're all fairly, kind of bug fixes, really, and not substantial changes to the day-to-day running of the party. It just kind of makes it a lot easier to administer things. Were there any questions around those?
Did you mention the shortening of the name?
Oh, yeah. So that was one of the other things. So previously, when we last changed the constitution, we were changing the name of the party from Future Party to Science Party, and somebody who wrote a lot of those changes may have forgotten to change the abbreviated name of the party, and all of the people who were checking it probably must have missed that as well. So the abbreviation...
Not until after we announced the meeting where we were going to do it.
Yeah.
We got plenty of notice of that without much time to change it.
So, and that person got plenty of shit, and that person doesn't need to get any more shit at this point in time, because it's in the past. But yes, so the abbreviation was previously just FP, which didn't make sense given that we were called the Science Party. So now the abbreviated name is Science.
For science.
For science.
So you can just vote one science.
Vote one Science. Yes.
Go science.
Go Science. So those are the changes. Were there any questions from anyone? We'll start in the room.
I might speak to it a little bit.
Oh, sure.
On the reasons why we're doing it.
Sure.
So
I'll hand over to James.
As the seconder for it, I wanted to take this opportunity in the general meeting to make this change. Firstly, the bug fix on the shortening of the party. That gives us some options at the election to call ourselves either the Science Party or Science, just straight, which is nice. The other thing that we faced a bit was a situation where, in order to put people into a seat in a local area, it was complicated and uncertain whether we had to run an election for that seat. Despite the fact that we didn't have a lot of members, we had plenty of candidates who were willing to stand in various seats. We had people who were wanting to run in seats that were outside of their local area. And there was no provision in the Constitution for that to occur, like for the executive to block that from happening. And I don't think that we should block people from running in seats outside of their local area, especially if the Australian Constitution allows it. So we had, for example, Andrea ran outside of her local seat, but we had lots of people wanting to run, not lots of people to vote on it, and the issue of an election occurring in the lead up to an election that was called at very, very short notice left us in a little bit of a bind where the executive couldn't make a quick decision and start the campaign. and that was a bit of an issue that held us back in a couple of seats there. So we wanted to make it a bit more, streamlined and more straightforward to, put that person, potential candidate into that position. So yeah, that was the justification for why we wanted to make these changes, to make us a little bit more agile, and still to have that clear, if you have sufficient local support, that it's decided by the local members.
Cool.
Cool.
Any questions you want to ask? Again, just ask the floor.
Sorry, let's ask online and the floor. Is there anyone on the floor who have any questions about this? No?
Just to be clear, I did read the changes as you were at the time. But the only thing that's substantially changed with respect to local areas is that it's gone from a threshold group to 50 members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also there wasn't previously a clause that said
The executive get to nominate.
if there's not that many people there who would be eligible to vote, all it said was if fewer than the threshold group participate in the vote, then whereas there wasn't a thing saying actually if there's fewer than a threshold group eligible, they don't even need to hold the vote.
Right, yeah.
And so you don't want to have to hold a vote if you know there's not going to be an outcome. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey guys, is this meeting purely political?
What do you mean by that?
Like this is my first time at something like this, and basically I was here to kind of, network and collaborate with people with certain projects. By the sounds of things so far, it's all political.
Yeah, so we have the formal aspect of the meeting. So we have to make these changes at our AGM. And we'll go through a couple of reports and say what we've been doing over the last year.
Okay.
So I've got my report and we've got Tom's report on the finances. Yep.
For the year.
And
Then we go to the pub.
then we go to the pub afterwards. But before that, we plan to have a quick discussion about what's been happening in politics generally. We've had the US election, and I think that what's happened in that situation is important. So we'll have a little discussion about that at the end as well, and we'll be networking at the pub. So yep, cool, excellent. So we had a question from Stephen McCormick, and he said, what happens if there are 55 members but 10 don't vote? So if there are 55 members, then the party has to hold an election for the local area, but if 10 don't vote, then the executive has the option to not obey the outcomes of that election. So because they haven't reached the minimum threshold for the number of members to cast a vote in the election. In that situation, I doubt very much that a reasonable executive would override that. The provision for the option to override the election is, I would think, primarily to prevent stacking in the case of areas where you have very small numbers of people and you get a group to come in which doesn't represent the party in order to stack the area. As leader of the party, and I assume the majority of the exec would think this as well, we wouldn't always exercise that choice. Only in cases where there's malice involved, basically, or malintentions involved.
Yeah. It's a stopgap measure to prevent exactly that from somebody from a group of people who don't represent the party trying to hijack a pre-selection and force their way into having a candidate that isn't endorsed by the party or doesn't have the support of the executive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes?
Do you believe that having a fixed number is sufficiently future-proof as the party grows?
I think so. So if you have, I guess, as an absolute number, 50, it's not easy to like, if you're trying to coordinate something, this is to prevent a malicious attack. if you're trying to coordinate a malicious attack, trying to get 50 people together in one geographical area is very difficult. There's the provision in the Constitution already says that everyone who is participating in the election actually needs to live in that area. So it's not like you could easily bring in people from all around different areas. The intention, I think, would be that in most cases, even if you had much fewer than that, a much smaller number than that, you would be able to go to those members and hold some kind of election. There's still the option to hold an election, even if there's only 20 people. And then if the executive was saying, look, there's two candidates here, we'd be happy with either of them, let that group choose, and that's fine. So it's just preventing a sort of a malicious attack. And once you've got a sample size of 50, it's very difficult to gain that.
And if they can, well, they've obviously got a lot of power.
Well, the other thing is, once you've got a group that size, you're getting very close to a threshold group who could overthrow the executive anyway. So,
Excellent. So if there are no further questions, we might take a vote. No more questions? Excellent. Okay.
All right, so we'll just get a vote from all existing Science Party members.
So just before we quickly do that, we had...
extra people will turn up.
Well, we had David Rosson has joined. David, are you a member currently? We'll just wait for him to reply. It could take a second to come through.
Well, if he's not replying, then he
David
might.
Rosson.
R-O-S-S-O-N.
We've also
V-A-D.
and we've also had Archer Bardol.
That's on both, yeah.
B-A-R-D.
Oh, is it?
Who's that one?
Archer Baldo. Okay, so can we get an indication from the Victorian members that they have heard the motion and that they are
Am I a
ready
member?
to vote? And who is there who are members?
Who's asked? Both
But-
Andrea's in Melbourne.
Yep, they're live.
Luke, are you a member?
Luke is a member.
I bloody hope you are a member.
Otherwise,
You ran for the council election recently.
Andrea, Andrea Leon.
Okay, so Melbourne
Yeah.
has heard it, confirmed.
So Luke, yeah.
All right. Okay, we'll put this to it. So, how many members do we have?
And
supposedly?
people who have just joined as of this meeting.
yeah.
So you have to be a member for at least 3 weeks.
Should we? Yeah.
The executive
8 weeks.
can.
We can.
Yeah,
The
you
executive
can.
can accelerate. It'd be a bit unorthodox to actually do it at an AGM.
In the middle of a motion.
I think I might have to reject that on procedural
Let's
grounds.
just take this vote for
Should we
members
just take
within,
a vote?
and then if there's, let's just take the vote.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be a problem. We'll take votes from members who've been a member for at least 3 weeks. Okay.
I thought it was 8 weeks, but anyway.
Okay. Is it 8 weeks?
It is
It
8
changed.
weeks.
So who doesn't meet
but-
that? If anyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and everyone else is a full member.
All right. So, can we get a show of eyes or nose?
Yeah. All those in favour of accepting the put up your hand if you're in person, and if you're online, indicate online that you are voting for it.
Now.
Okay.
So 8 in the room. Totally understood. Was not expecting a vote.
Yeah. So we have a yes from Luke,
Yes, from
James, Stephen.
McCormick. Yes, from Kieran Nelson. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. Oh.
One of these days we're going to get an
8 weeks unless exec team's full member. Okay.
Dylan.
Dylan and Andrea.
Maybe we should
Andrea.
ask if there are any no's.
Should
or
I-
objections.
No, it's okay.
No's
So-
or abstentions?
standard procedure.
No, we
Otherwise,
normally do
yeah.
this. Can
Yeah, I guess
you tick
the issue with it
one or
is
something?
online. It's not easy to get a feeling of what's happening in the room.
Yeah,
So-
it is actually good to
Um,
get people to, I don't know, at least be able to have a vote and say
Yeah, of
something
So,
instead of just saying no.
I think taking record in this case, because of the online members, is a good idea. So,
So Stephen McCormick.
yes.
Just put a yes or Y there. Y.
Dylan Sung is a yes.
Will Ben is a yes.
Just get
Sorry.
awkward there.
So Ben, it's a yes.
Are Melbourne members in a room together?
They are, but they're using their own Facebook accounts.
Right.
All the Andreas, yes.
And Luke James.
There's currently a member, if I'm not mistaken,
And
outside
Karen,
the baby.
That's true.
Oh,
Do you want to?
okay.
And Steve? Do we hear from
McCormick?
Steve Oppitz?
No,
Would you
I
like to
haven't
vote?
heard.
From
Oh,
Roberts?
yes. What are we voting for? I got cut off. That's what Steve Oppitz said.
yes.
Oh, James Haggerty.
He's coming in, but yeah.
We are voting to accept. There are changes to the constitution presented, Steve, and we're voting whether or not to accept it. So if you haven't heard the changes, maybe if you've read them, I guess it's okay to go ahead and vote. I guess regardless, it's okay to go ahead and vote. It's your right. But
Yeah. There's no requirement to be a well-informed voter.
but as a science party, we like people to be well-informed voters.
All right. So we have and
Do you have any
James
no's?
Haggerty? You're abstaining for the moment. Okay. Yep.
Do you have any no's from online? Okay, I'm going to take... There's a private message on the Science Party account voting as well.
Can you indicate which way that person voted, Stephen? I'll take your word as gospel. Unfortunately, we don't have good Wi-Fi connectivity here, so
So the private message on the...
it's
As
an
an
aye.
aye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay. Well.
So
that's passed.
8 in person, 8 online. That's great.
Okay, so accepted. So that changes are accepted. So good stuff, guys. Next up on the agenda is the Treasurer's report. Is it?
Leaders report.
Or the Leaders report first? Okay. Sorry, I've got the agenda here. Right, Leaders report first. Okay, so James will be doing that.
Tom, can you take record that Lee Furman voted?
Lee. Okay.
Yeah.
Lee. How's that spelled?
Firman.
Firman.
Leigh.
Leigh.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this has been an eventful year. So last year I addressed you all as the Future Party at the last annual general meeting, and now we're the Science Party. And we've done a lot of soul searching, and there's been a lot of change, and I think a lot of success this year. And we've turned our vote upwards, which is really fantastic. So now we're looking to the future. We have a few elections coming up. And in order to be able to run in those elections, we need to firm up our membership and we need to grow our networks. And so we need each and every member to be really committed to growing the party. So we need more people into the party. We need to get the voting public involved in the election. And, you know, if we do that, we can elect reasonable, evidence-focused and visionary individuals to take back our governments from people who've hijacked our democracy with hate and, you know, false claims, basically. So I'm encouraging everyone who's watching now, who's here, join, volunteer, donate, get involved. And we keep saying this over and over again because that's actually the only way that we'll grow the party is that involvement on those three levels. So we've got about 2.5 years until the next federal election, if things go to plan, although it might not, given recent political events. And yeah, I hope to have you all along for the journey. So I might just run quickly through some of the things that we've done this year and how that turned out. So last year's AGM, I wasn't here because I was at a candidates forum for the North Sydney by-election. That was the 26th of November that happened. The AGM happened, and then the by-election was on the 5th of December. It was really, really short notice for that election. Joe Hockey left very abruptly. There were lots of parties running. And another thing that kind of held us back in that election, I wasn't a local, and I was extremely busy starting my business at that point in time. And the election was being fought on non-federal election issues because it was outside of the regular election cycle. People were talking about council amalgamations, which is a state issue. The federal government has no power in that regard, and that was really frustrating, and we refused to participate in that. But parties that said that this was a state issue were somewhat penalised in the eyes of some of the people who were in the rooms of the candidate forums. So despite that, we came together. We campaigned in our shirts and our lab coats. That was the first example of a lab coat. And it was good fun. The result was all okay, all things considered, but it wasn't exceptional. We beat one party, Palmer United, but we only got, we came second last, and we only got 0.67% of the vote. And but out of that, we did have a success, and I think that's from the lesson that we learned. So we got a lot of positive feedback from people as we were handing out. It wasn't that the ideas were wrong, it's that people didn't know what they were voting for. What's the future party? What does that mean? Whose future? And it wasn't obvious to people that we were talking about, scientific advancement, technological advancement, education, investing in the future, despite the name that we had, which was Future Party. So after that, we decided that we were going to change our name. And after that, we went through this quite long process of working out what our name would be. And we put together a whole heap of ideas, went back and forth. We put this out to connections of the people who were very involved in the party. I think we ended up getting around about 50 or more responses for the name. Yeah. We got a lot of responses, and from people who were sort of involved in the party, but not very, so the friends and the family of the party, to find out what people liked and what people didn't like. And I think that was very important. Changing our name based on evidence, we came up with Science Party. That was going to represent what we believed in. And on the 28th of January, we had the special general meeting. And on that, from that announcement, I said, we believe that Science Party more clearly represents the philosophy and aims of the party. We believe that legislators should assess evidence, design and run legislative experiments, use mathematics and logic, and be willing to be proven wrong. These are the qualities of scientific thinking and what people want in parliamentarians. So that's the vision that we had out of this. So we changed the name, and we went through a gigantic process of rebranding everything, and there were a lot of people who helped out with this process. It was very involved, but I'd like to send a special thanks to Andrea and Andrea, our two executive members who organised a lot of this to change over the logos and the mentions of the party throughout the entire website and all of our materials. So thank you to everyone, but especially to them. And then our name was accepted by the AEC on the 22nd of March this year. And then not too long after that, we had a federal election called. And so it was a pretty cynical move by the government. They changed the way that the voting system worked, and then they went straight to an election. And that left us with just 15 weeks from the date that we had our name accepted by the AEC to the date of the election. 15 weeks. And only basically, can I calculate this? So it's 3 and a bit months. So a tiny amount of time to actually get our name out as the Science Party and get support. But despite that, we did extraordinarily well. We teamed up with the cyclists in the Senate races, and then we fought in 3 states in the Senate, whereas in 2013 we only fought in 1 in New South Wales. And we ran in 10 lower house seats, and previously we only ran in 2. We quadrupled our Senate results. It's still quite low, but very encouraging to quadruple any voting results. And we had strong results in all the lower house seats, with many seats polling over 2%, which puts us at a level which is quite serious, in my opinion.
Sorry.
No problem. So I think that we did extraordinarily well. I think that's a huge promise for the future. We've got a lot more time to go forward with this name, so we can build a lot more and grow with that positive messaging. Throughout the year, we did a lot of reports. So we don't just run in elections, we contribute positively to the national discussion through submissions to the Parliament. Some of them include the submission into the census, the National Research and Infrastructure Roadmap capability issues. So it's a science-related one. The establishment of a National Integrity Commission, the Research and Development Tax Incentive. So we made lots of submissions, and they're very considered and took a lot of work. Once again, thank you to Andrea, our policy officer, who put a lot of effort into making sure that they were in on time and well written. I also did some submissions into the voting changes. This is a little bit ancillary to the party because it was effectively done either on the Alliance for Progress's behalf or more on my personal behalf without endorsement from the party. But ultimately, I think that the discussions that we had between our party and other parties and some of the lobbying that we had done resulted in changes which weren't ideal, but definitely weren't as bad as what we had on our plate, which would have effectively closed us down immediately. The next thing that I want to talk about is the New South Wales branch. So we're going to make a serious go of running in the New South Wales election. So we are establishing a New South Wales branch, a legal entity to run in the New South Wales election. So we've run previously as an unnamed group. We did okay out of that, but we were in the middle and we didn't have any branding. We didn't have any future party name. We were called Future Party in 2015. So we didn't attract a lot of votes. I think that the Science Party name will attract quite a few votes, and if we can get registered by the due date, we'll do quite well out of it. But it's a big task. So we need to get 750 names, not just in our database, but signatures on paper to come back to us to register our party. So it's a huge job. It's a logistical task. It's a massive logistical task. First time ever, we're going to be doing mail-outs and have a PO box to receive back the responses so that we can get registered. I've done this out of order a little bit, but yeah, challenge accepted from Ben Wilshire online. The first goal is to get to 100 members, and if we can do that, I was hoping that we could have got Andrea on the phone, but it looks like we're not going to be able to. So I might just say some of this stuff. Yep.
Do you know approximately how many members we have in New South Wales?
Less than 100.
I will leave that off the record for the moment.
Okay.
But we need to get more.
Yep.
We need to get a lot more. We need to get hundreds more in order to
both membership fees and stuff impacted a fair bit.
It has.
We used to have definitely over 100.
Yeah, we had lots, and the membership fee has cut down our membership a bit.
Giving you the money to do mail outs.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk about money in a sec. But so what we the first goal will be 100 members by the end of the year. So we're going to
End of the year.
yes, 100 members on paper, right? So we do have enough membership to get to that level, but it's going to require like a lot of follow up and growth. I think that we can get there. If we can do that, then we have to spend another 15 months in order to be registered. There's a possibility that there's a handful of councils which are still outstanding in New South Wales, so the September elections next year we won't be able to contest, but possibly some of those other ones which haven't, well, they're still fighting over what it'll look like, we may be able to contest those. But it'll be a good first start. Get to council registration level and then go beyond that, 650 more. It's a lot more than 100, but we've got about 12 months to do it. So we really need to be hitting the pavement hard. We need to be selling this. This is going to be a registered party, and we are going to run in the New South Wales election. So we need everyone to encourage, to first of all join themselves, but encourage everyone they know, everyone they meet that's even half interested in politics and half interested in science to get involved and get into the party.
Yes, you should just carry paper forms with you everywhere you go.
Yes.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would just add to that, from the Senate results and the lower house results that we've got, right, it does look like if we can get the 750, we would actually win, it's quite likely we can win a seat in the upper house of the state.
Yeah, so I would say that just without campaigning, pulling 2% in the lower house is very reasonable. Once again, without campaigning, I think that our vote was impacted by coupling with the Cyclist Party. They did a lot of help for us. They were really great, but the name confusion drew away from the Science Party name. So if we could run by ourselves, 1 to 2% is definitely possible in the upper house without any additional campaigning. Now, in order to get to 750 members, we're going to have to be reaching thousands of people. You think about, how many times do you get an ad for a political party and actually join it? Like, hardly ever, unless you're friends with me. So, it's going to be reaching a lot of people. So there's going to be a lot of campaigning inherent in trying to build up the organisation. So I think that there's a good chance if we can get to that 750 member level, we will have numbers on the board that have a very good chance of being elected. In the upper house, you need to get, so there's 21 people who are elected per term, and so you only need...
2.5%.
I think it was basically the same. The amount you need to get your funding back is the same as getting a seat?
No, I think you actually need to get more votes than getting a seat in order to get your funding back.
But if you get a seat, you get your funding
You
back.
get funding back, that's right. If
Yeah.
you do get elected, then
Yeah.
Is that default or?
No, that's just how it worked out in
The
New South
numbers.
Wales.
And Andrea, if you want to talk, we've got the Discord up that you can speak through. And there was another. Oh, this is a bit hard. Sorry to the person who asked a question. Oh, yeah. Sorry. The 2-tiered membership setup. We do have a 2-tiered membership setup. We have a concession membership for people. We actually have 3 tiers. Concession membership for people who are students, unemployed, people who have low income, and we also have the $52 and $104 level membership based on your income. So we can get people in at those different levels if they can't afford the membership. So there is a lower conversion rate, but at the same time, getting in that membership fee helps us do more promotion to bring people in. And what we really need to do is work out what our strategies are so that when we do bring in a $52 or $104 membership fee, and it's averaging about halfway between those two, that we bring in at least another paid membership on top of that. I don't think it's impossible to do that. It's going to be hard. When we registered the Science Future Party in 2013, we were getting a new membership for about $30 per ad spend. Now that was a free membership, but that was also with, me running the AdSense account and doing it for the first time and not knowing what I was doing. So, with a lot more campaigning, with a lot more just general volunteers, feet on the ground, and better advertising strategy, I think that having a self-sustaining membership model is actually possible, or at least getting close to that. And finally, on that New South Wales point, in order to run that organisation, we need to have people who are, a leader who can look after that organisation, who's committed to that organisation, and it actually needs to be someone who's separate to the federal organisation. And so I guess this is the first time we're doing this publicly, but the executive decided to appoint Andrea Leong as the leader for the New South Wales branch. And I think Andrea Leong, she's extraordinarily committed. She's got perfect temperament for representing the Science Party, well considered, well spoken, very committed. She'll be a fantastic leader for the party, and she's already doing a great job in making sure that the things that we need to have organised are organised for the New South Wales branch. So, congratulations to Andrea Leong on becoming leader. So, that concludes me. Andrea, can you speak? Do you have voice capabilities?
You just said she was well spoken.
That was in the past.
She has. I don't know. You're kind of muted.
What kind of mean exactly?
All right. Well, we'll give Andrea a bit to come through, and we will go straight to the Treasurer's report.
Sure. Cool. So, as James said, it's been a big year for the Science Party, and I thought one way we might be able to illustrate this is by looking at some numbers from previous years, and I thought we might have a projector, but you probably don't need to see very far to see what this graph looks like. Hey, we've got an Andrea.
Yep, Andrew, we might just finish with
I
Tom's
won't be
report.
long. I really won't.
And we'll get you to talk in a sec.
Yeah, is that all right? Cool. So, yes, as you can see, income and expenditure are sort of a lot more than in previous years.
What's the total amount for 2015-16?
So, total income. So from membership fees, we received $11,804 in membership fees this year, and that was from introducing. So that was from October to the end of June. So that's pretty good. Now, obviously, we need a lot more members to remain viable, and if we do have, as we grow that membership base, that number will only increase. So that's a really, really positive sign. In donations, we received $48,664 in donations, which is huge.
Wow.
The vast majority of that came during the federal election campaign after we changed our name to the Science Party. Now, obviously, you do get more donations during an election year, but that is
What did we get in the last election year?
Yeah, like maybe. Well, there was in the 2013.
I guess that financial year.
Yeah, there was in that year there was a lot of stuff that was spent before
the
start of the financial year on establishing the party, and that was a huge amount of basically James's money.
And the other James.
And the other Jameses, the James
Our
money, yes. But yeah, in the election, I mean, we got maybe 5 or 10 grand of donations. Yeah, and so it's that's a huge result, which I think we should really be proud of. Now, our total expenditure for the year. So income 60,468 and total expenditure for the year 60,036, leaving us with a net earning for the year of $432, which is positive. It's greater than zero, so it's better than last year.
So we can print some forms and mail them out.
Yeah, pretty much. And as at the 30th of June, our balance sheet was we had net assets of $600 basically. So now that's kind of, I'd like to say that's a deliberate strategy on the part of the party. And if James were 100% in control of everything, which I guess he kind of was, you could say that was a deliberate strategy.
Only because you're away.
Only because I was away.
Hey, look, I had to balance the books
yes.
in your absence,
So-
in addition to leading. So.
Yeah. So thank you, James, for taking such good care of the finances whilst I was away for all of June,
Maybe a
and
bit
not
too
sending
much.
us insolvent. No, so there's something to be said. In fact, James and I were talking about this earlier today. In fact, in a growing organisation, every dollar that you're not spending bringing more members in, then that's money that you could be spending bringing more members in. Every member you get in is another person who is A, paying a membership fee, B, perhaps donating, C, promoting the party and getting more people in. So you really want to invest in the organisation, and running in an election campaign is one way of doing that. So now I think probably this year we'll aim to have a slightly bigger buffer, but we're not going to sit there and just try and grow a balance sheet for the sake of growing a balance sheet. We'd much rather grow the organisation than grow the balance sheet, because the organisation is going to be the thing that fulfills the aims of the organisation, and not just money for the sake of money. But I mean, anyone who has great ideas, and I say this sort of every year, anyone who has great ideas for how we can raise lots of money, I'm all ears. So that's something that's not strength of mine. So anyone who thinks that, or knows somebody who might want to get involved and go, I want to take it upon myself to really try and do something cool and raise some money, then let me know. One of the advantages of having a membership fee is that we've got a bit of an income stream, assuming our members maintain, still like us and still keep paying that membership fee. Then we will have something of an income stream that we can then use to invest in activity that will drive more members. Did you have a question, Tom?
When you're done, I've just got...
Yeah. No, now's good.
Okay, so firstly, stupid thing, I just looked at number 432, because that was how much we left over.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, because it was awesome. You said we had 432, which is any struggle, so I was going to come on with, it's an even composite number composed of 2 prime numbers, which is 2 to the power 4 and 3 to the power of 3. I just thought that was interesting.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool. That is cool.
The Science Party officially recognises such.
Yeah.
That was the overstrategy changes part.
The other point about fundraising, it's not exactly fundraising, but it's like fundraising twice removed, which is we had 11,000 in members, but 48,000 in donations.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of those donations were from people who aren't already members, some of them.
Potentially, yeah.
And some of them would have been more than $104.
Yeah.
So if someone donates in a certain period, I know we've talked about like funding drives, but if someone donates more than $102 in a period where we're fundraising, can we just make them members?
Yeah, probably.
We have made members, we have had people who do things like donate monthly, and they say, I've been donating monthly for so long, can I be a member? And we said, yeah, of course.
So there's this lovely clause in the membership thing where the executive,
in
fact, I think,
recognise it?
yeah, I think as treasurer I can pretty much anyone who says, "Can I have a free membership?" If I think it's a good reason, maybe it needs to be ratified by the exec. But
So-
there's nothing preventing us. We can do what we want. It's our organisation.
Just a very important
Constitutes one.
point about membership. The person has to make a conscious decision to join the party.
Yeah.
So it's not just about, you've paid some money, you can become a member. They have to say, I want to become a member, and if their membership lapses because they didn't make the fee payment, then we could say, yes, you continue to be a member because you continue to pay your sufficient amount for your membership fee, but they have to say that they want to be a member.
Why do they have to say they want to be a club?
Well, they have to sign up.
Law.
Yeah, so, okay.
Under the
If they just hand over a big check, we can't go, "Oh, you're a member."
But I'm okay
Yeah,
if they give us a big
Yeah.
check and we say, and we send them an email
Yeah.
saying, "Thanks very much for that. Do you want to be a member?" Because that
Yeah.
has just given us
Yeah.
the amount of
Yeah, absolutely.
Free
Yeah,
membership.
Even if it's
definitely.
a $50 or $100
Yeah.
donation, why can't we automatically just send them through a membership form?
That's a good idea.
We can, yeah. So there is and for the purposes of I've split out the membership fees and the donations just for our own interest, but membership fees are classed as donations for legally, there's no difference between a membership fee and a donation. So we just call them differently, and that's so. Yeah, definitely we can.
What are some of the large expenditure categories, if you've got that in front of you?
Advertising and promotion. So the biggest one is what I put as fees and permits. So that was $21,000 or nearly $22,000, and the vast majority of that was paying the AEC registration fees.
Yeah.
So it's $2,000 per senator, $1,000 per lower house candidates. You do the maths.
Yeah, we ran 4 senators and we ran 10 lower house candidates.
Yeah. So that adds up real quick.
Yeah.
And then plus there was the fees for the North Sydney by-election as well. Yeah. There's also when we changed our name, it was $500 to the AEC. When we registered our logo, $500 to the AEC.
Nickeling and diming us.
Oh, yeah. The AEC has done very well out of us. Let's just say that. So that was a big one. Advertising and promotion. James spent a lot of money on Google AdWords and Facebook advertising.
Yeah.
To promote the party. Printing out of flyers was 12 grand. Flyers, how to vote, all those kinds of things.
And we got through the majority of those as well. So
yeah,
with our people who were handing out on the day.
Yeah.
And in the lead up to the election, I think we had a pretty good strategy with that, which was actually for people who felt like they weren't going to be able to find enough members on the day or volunteers on the day, they letterbox dropped it. And in some of those cases, that letterbox drop a day or two before the election possibly resulted in a very high turnaround. So Wollongong was an example of that.
So that's the majority. I mean, then there's a few things like IT costs. So keeping our Google Apps current, Nation Builder charges through the nose, booking meeting rooms is reasonably Plus, we paid about $1,500 in PayPal fees, and
Because they take
And
a
they
cut.
don't count as not for profit.
yeah, well,
Was that as a
yeah,
NGO, we're not a...
Should we take Stripe instead?
we're all on Stripe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we changed.
We changed. Conveniently, we changed just after 1 July, just to make my life a
Oh,
lot
okay. It means there was a lot of money flowing through.
There was, so that's
Yeah.
when you run 60 grand through PayPal, they do reasonably well.
Yeah,
That's their
okay.
business model, and it works. So,
Alright.
So that's kind of where all our money went.
Okay.
We didn't piss much of it up the wall.
Yeah.
In like big lavish parties or helicopter rides. So.
Yeah. We got some questions through.
Oh yeah, questions through.
Talking about David was saying that we should have base membership free to boost membership expansion, then maybe voluntary donation tiers to make up the perks. I think that we need to have, like we had that before, and what happened was we got really poor really quickly. And it was a situation where I was emptying my bank account to keep the party alive, and it's completely unsustainable. So, like, I know that it didn't look like we were going bankrupt, but without me putting money in, we were. And I can't keep doing that forever, especially not for a party. If we want to be nationally represented, you know, we're talking about, I think it's like $250,000 worth of nomination fees just to run in every seat in the country. Yeah, I don't have that sort of money. So one day, not yet. Members of other parties might donate to us. We can't assume. Yep, that's right, Luke. Okay, and that's it. All right. Thank you, Tom, for that.
Cool.
And Andrea, please, chime in. Well, yeah. Can you hear us, Andrea? She's there. It is connected.
Alright, can you hear me this time?
Yep.
Oh, I can hear myself, so I guess that means
Hold on, I'll just mute myself.
you can.
Yeah.
Alright, okay. Well, yep. Okay, thanks everyone. And I really appreciate the confidence that the members and the exec have shown in me, first as policy officer and then an executive member and now leader of the New South Wales branch. It's going to be hard work to get 750 members to sign up on paper. The deadline is in almost exactly 12 months because the New South Wales Electoral Commission is very stringent and has a lead time of 15 months for parties to be registered before the next election, the state election in March 2019. So it's going to be a big push, but I think the people of New South Wales are really hanging out for some transparency in their government as well as some evidence-based policies in all the state issues that turned out to be the talking points of the federal election, ironically. So I think it's a big challenge, but it's also a big opportunity. So I'm excited and glad to be heading up the New South Wales branch. And we're going to have our inaugural general meeting on Monday week, the 5th of December. So the details will be going up for that soon, and I invite everyone along, and there'll be lots more details to be revealed in the very short future. So thanks again, everyone.
Excellent.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's about it. Sorry?
Jordan's going to jump in here.
Yes, I am. While we're on the topic of the New South Wales branch and still on formal business, before we go and do more exciting things at the pub, I just thought I would remind the executive that there is already mechanisms in place for governing branches, and in particular Schedule F of the Constitution needs to be updated to reflect the changes in the New South Wales branch. Because the New South Wales branch was already formed previously under a committee of Miles and Corey and James and Srigo. And it's not hard to be changed, but it just needs the executive having appointed Andrea. She needs to be in the committee. You were on that committee. I don't know if you're the coordinator, but
Do we have an inaugural meeting that allowed us to set up an organisation? We did create
Voted for it at an AGM, I thought.
we voted for it at a regular AGM, and I think we had an initial New South Wales branch meeting at that meeting.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
not one to establish a incorporated
Not
association.
legally incorporated, no.
Okay, so we
The
still
branch
need to
doesn't
have.
have to be legally incorporated under the Constitution. It can be formal or informal.
Yeah,
But we want to.
we
We
have
want
to
to make
make
it
it.
formal.
Yeah,
To be able to run in
To
New
actually
South
register,
Wales.
you
Yeah, to register in New South Wales.
Anyway, it's all there in Schedule F, which you just need to rewrite.
Excellent.
Sounds like fun.
Thank you for that, Jordan.
But you can change that without changing constitution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The executive has the power to change the committee, and the committee has the power to change the schedule. So it's all straightforward.
Yeah.
Yes. Andrea?
Andrew, are you going to say something?
Yeah,
or?
so,
Yeah.
mind if I just chime in here? Yeah, about so membership.
David Rosson made.
Sorry, there's a bit of a delay here, so bear with me.
David Rosson made a comment
Yeah,
about
so
membership being $2.
The way that we've got membership set up to work at the moment is that the New South Wales branch doesn't control its own membership, and that any member who signs up to the federal party and who is a resident of New South Wales is automatically a member of the New South Wales branch, so unless they opt out. So the plan at the moment is to contact all our New South Wales members and see if they don't opt out. Hopefully not many people are going to have a problem with that, and they'll be our first New South Wales members after we officially form the branch.
Yep.
But as far as the federal constitution goes, there's no provision for the state branches to to sign up their own members in any other way.
No, yeah, that's correct. The federal constitution holds. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Okie dokie. Thank you for that, Andrea. And hello to Melbourne down there. Sorry, I'm joking when I use that pronunciation. I don't actually say Melbourne like that. Okay.
The director's report or not? I assume not.
Do we have a director's report from your side, Andrea?
Andrea?
Andrea can speak to us quickly.
I guess so.
Yeah, Andrea's happy to get on the blower here.
Yeah.
Excellent. Interesting so far.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, we can.
Excellent. So, I mean, I think James kind of mentioned most of the stuff that's been happening in the year, and I might just kind of quickly run over it again. So, since the last AGM, we've had, we've been in a couple of elections. One was as the Future Party in the December 5th by-election. So that was we were in North Sydney, and while the results were fairly average, we did pick up a few valuable members from that, which was really good actually, because they went up as champion for our party in the federal election, which is great. And obviously after a bit of market research and some lively discussions, we changed our name, which also led to a branding update. And we have merch available on our Redbubble store if you wanted a shirt or anything. And then later in the year, just this year, 2nd July, obviously we had the federal election, the total of 15 candidates, 10 lower house and 5 in the Senate, and that's pretty amazing considering where we came from. We did pretty well also considering that was the first time we ran as the Science Party. We got I think we got a lot of better responses when, at least I noticed from handing out, than when handing out for the Future Party a couple of times in the past. So certainly the name has made it a little bit clearer as to where we stand on many things. After that we had a report from our chief statistician, Eve Slavich. She gave us a fairly in-depth post analysis highlighting some of the electorates that we can better target our demographic next time. And so we're looking at you, Reid and Bennelong in Sydney. But it'd be also nice to maybe get a better idea on other areas, say like in Victoria and maybe Tasmania, where we can target. We also managed to annoy the anti-science party, the health party, with some strong words about their position on vaccinations. That was a bit of fun. But it also highlights the concerns that some people might also have about the science party, so we need to constantly reaffirm that we are a science party, we're not a fake science party. your members and more recognition. So it's important because it means that people can start to trust that we'll be around for the long term and the decisions that we make on policies. Also a special call out to our Tasmanian candidates that they managed to punch above their weight and almost hit the same percentages we saw in a better resource New South Wales. So that was a pretty good effort. And there was just two of those guys down there. So it was good work. And our aim is now to extend our reach by the next election to as many states as possible. The fee structure, as mentioned just previously, when we introduced last October, it was working really well, and arguably one of the reasons we did so well relative to other micro and minor parties in this year and the election. We also had our member here, Luke James, who ran in the Melbourne City Council election as a independent, endorsed by the Science Party. So that's some pretty good exposure at least. And we also, what else did we do? We did some submissions. We had 3 this year. James mentioned the census inquiry into the 2016 census. We had a lot of strong words to say about that. The National Research Infrastructure Roadmap Capability Issues paper, and we also had the one regarding the establishment of National Integrity Commission in April. So, like James said, we are doers, we do stuff, and we also want people to be aware that we do stuff, that we're working constantly on their behalf to make change in Australia. We had some policy stuff. Once part of our science and research policy, we now have a separate space policy to better focus and develop with movements in the industry. That was pretty cool to have that busted out into its own policy. And this led to one of the largest monthly meetings in October that we had, where we hosted 3 speakers from the Australian space industry, where we heard from Paddy Newman of Newman Space about the Neumann drive he's working on, which will be tested at the International Space Station. Dr. Tim Parsons from Delta V, which is Australia's first space startup accelerator, and Professor Eva Cairns about Cube satellites with their cost-saving potential. It can make entering space industry orders of magnitude cheaper. And that video is available on our YouTube channel if anyone wanted to look at it. Other events that we participated in, we participated in the Sydney Science Festival this year with an event called Moonshots, the Politics of Science Funding, where 4 of our executive members, Tom Gordon, Peter Zing, Andrea Leong and James Jansen, gave talks on science, politics and where they meet. That should also be available on our YouTube channel. Maybe check if it's not there, complain to somebody and it'll get back to me and I'll try to make it be there. And we had a smattering of website updates and various other things with regards to IT that are fairly boring to recount. But in general, everything seems to be going well. But what we do need is we just need good people. If you know any good people that would resonate with the Science Party and would help develop the party and its policies and getting scientific thinking in Parliament, let us know. Just get back to us. It'll be great. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Andrea.
Could I just add 2 things? Is that alright?
Yeah.
Yep, quickly, yep.
So it's been 2 things been mentioned a couple of times. The first one is the rebranding. I'd like to just say thanks to Nick Bresniak, who was the guy who did our design. If we can officially say thanks to him.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And the other thing that's been mentioned a couple of times, a bit more airy-fairy, which is our political climate and with the political things that are going on these days. I think the change of name to Science Party is really good timing, because at the time when the Future Party, when we changed from the Future Party to the Science Party, this idea of post-fact politics wasn't really kind of borne out just yet. It was happening, but now it is, and it's unbelievable that now we have to have a Science Party, because just about it, like Malcolm Roberts just the other day, wasting time.
You don't even know his name.
I know.
Not his name is not even worth knowing.
We have a place, and there's a spot for us, and it's a big spot, because post-fact and non-fact and all of that sort of stuff in politics is happening more and more and more, and it's ridiculous that it is. And I think
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a space we can own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facts, definitely.
Everyone
facts.
seems to be vacating rapidly, and hopefully to their detriment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Excellent. So let's with that wind up the
The
formal proceedings. I guess we should
It's
possibly
8 o'clock, basically.
technically accept all those in favour of accepting the reports of the various people who set them.
Yay.
Hey, I think that's the room. Thank you people online for voting as well.
Probably.
Probably. Don't
Except for
vote.
nay.
Don't
We
vote
get
nay.
support.
Yeah. Excellent. So
Can
we are. Yeah.
Can I just add one more thing? Just want to say a big thank you to all the candidates that ran in the election. Partly because I didn't really have anything to add, but once I heard Tom's report about how much donations we got and stuff, that can't have been possible without the fact that we had, how many was it? Like 15 to 16 candidates running across
10
across the country.
Yeah, 5 lower house. 5 upper house. Yeah.
5 upper house, right? Yes, right. There was the second one in Victoria from our party. So 15 candidates. I think that made a big difference in the number of people we could reach and their family members and friends who donated, which I think was a big factor in getting to that 48,000 or whatever it was that we got there. So, well done, candidates, and hopefully we'll have a lot more next time.
Yeah.
New South Wales, federal, whatever it is. So, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you to the candidates.
All right.
I have another one.
One. Yeah. Quickly.
I'm about to get you down. So there's a new member or two here, and is that okay that we introduce them to know what they're talking about, or should we close and then?
We'll close the formal proceedings
Okay.
so that people can leave if they want to, because we don't have to vote anymore for things, and then we can continue talking.
Yeah.
Just like we already are, but
Yeah.
just not formally.
So thank you everyone online. We are closing the formal proceedings. I'm going to keep the stream open for the moment, but we'll wrap up in a sec.
How long do we have the room till?
8:30. But we won't hopefully stay till
No,
8:30.
we're not going to stay
because we
until
have more
8:30.
important matters to discuss at the party.